after 7 o'clock in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, you've seen it on TV. That is, if you have the stomach for that sort of violence, if it can be termed that, is plenty coughing and kicking, cage fighting and so on, is maybe a little too much for some people, but it clearly is very, very popular around the world and in Trinidad and Tobago. You can witness it live next week, Saturday, at the Gene Peer Complex. It's the Caribbean Ultimate Fist Fighting Cage Fight, with Trinidad and Tobago taking on the United States. It's the 6th edition. That's why it's called CUF 06. I suppose the acronym is perfect because plenty coughing down and kicking up and thing as well that goes on. Classic kick up that used to go in cinema to watch over the years. To get us up to speed is the founder of CUF, Sensei Adam Chin Liang Kam, and if the name sounds familiar, yes, Brian Chin Liang is his father and so on. So it's in the blood, that sort of desire for martial arts competition. Adam, good to have you on the program.
Pleasure, thank you very much.
So what can we look forward to in this 6th edition of CUF? What's in store come next week, Saturday?
Well, mixed martial arts, the term MMA has been popularized by the mega company that's in the industry right now called the UFC. They host, some of the biggest shows in the world with regards to MMA. One of the things that I like to tell everybody that it is a sport, even though it is...
It's not like a free-for-all.
Somewhat, but, there are many different aspects of the sport. There's striking, which can come from boxing, kickboxing, karate, kung fu, taekwondo. There's grappling that can come from Brazilian jiu-jitsu, sambo, wrestling, judo, and throwing as well too. So there are a lot of different martial arts that are mixed, and that's why they call it mixed martial arts. Yes. And all the participants need to know, in some way, shape, or form, little aspects of each. It's very hard to be proficient in all. If you think of, karate and how many years you spend in karate to become a black belt, imagine if you had to become a black belt in all. So it takes a long time. So most people have a foundation in one style and then just have knowledge of the other styles as they move along, and they mix it. It is growing to be its own art, which is great, and not only Trinidadians, but it's growing worldwide. It's fastest growing sport in the world, actually. This is our 6th edition here.
All right. Well, let's tell everybody about what's happening. Gates open at 9 o'clock at the Gene Peer Complex for the event on December the 7th, Saturday, December 7th. Ringside tickets $350, VIPs $250, general admissions $120. That's $120, and you can go on the website www.cuffmma.com for more information, to the links to the event. That's www.cuffmma.com for more information. And where are tickets available leading up to the event?
We have tickets available at Lullaby Cellular in San Fernando and Trin City Mall, Yogurt Land in Price Plaza. We also have Toracan Dojo in Woodbrook and in Leoto Street, San Fernando as well. As if you go onto the website, it will lead you directly to our Facebook page. And we have an events section to our Facebook page. You can go on the events section and look at the details, and they have a lot of committee members that are selling tickets, and they're going really, really fast. This is actually...
Is there a lot of excitement ahead? Because as you were saying before we came on here, this is the 6th edition, so it's been growing. Mm-hmm. Has it reached the level that you would have anticipated, or has it exceeded your expectations?
I don't know if it's exceeding my expectations, because it is the fastest growing sport in the world, but it is growing at a very rapid rate, which is great for us. We're hoping that it will grow to, at some point in time, fill out the Gene Peer Complex or fill out the National Stadium in terms of size. Shows in the States go up to 17,000 to 24,000 people in one show, and those shows happen, bi-weekly.
What is the thrill of this cage fight? Is it a kind of a desire for that Coliseum sort of thing, to see people almost virtually killing one another?
Well, let's think about it, right? Since the beginning of time, man has put themselves against each other in combat, right? As you can say, back in the Roman days, they used to go to the death. Now we're a little bit more civil, if you want to say that, and we wear protective gear, and we have somebody that's judging it, reffing it, So it's in a controlled environment. But, you know, there's...
What's the protective gear? Tight pair of drawers? Because they look like fellas with just short pants and they're going at one another.
Well, I mean, you know, not to knock other sports, because I love all sports, especially combat sports. But it is actually one of the safer sports in terms of life expectancy in the sport. Meaning, like if you look at something like traditional boxing or kickboxing, let's say, somebody can, you know, get a couple, you know, shots to the head and fall long, and then the referee in between gives them an 8 count. Right, to see whether or not they're okay. With MMA, that doesn't happen.
What happens?
Right? What happens?
Because I see, I mean, correct. I don't know if I'm looking at the wrong thing. I see fellas lying on the ground and fellas coughing them while they're on the ground.
Correct. But what happens is that if they start the fight standing, which you know, all fights start standing. If you start the fight standing and somebody gets hit to the ground with, say, a punch or a kick, or gets taken down to the ground, they have a certain amount of time where they can finish the fight. And if the referee believes at that point in time that the fighter cannot continue, he gets in between really quick.
How important is that safety element to the sport?
Huge, huge.
Because people always, again, and we talked about the Coliseum and that kind of bloodlust thing and whatever, but there's always that concern about physical sports like this, fighting sports that encourage violence. How important is the discipline and the safety element?
It's huge, and when you attach the term of martial arts to it, that means that it is the way of war. That's what martial arts means, way of war. But martial arts also has a huge ethical background behind it. So things like discipline and self-confidence and respect for one another and refrain from violent behavior. That's huge in martial arts.
Is that still a part of it? Because somebody said that would be lost in the desire for entertainment and to entertain the fans in a cage fighting atmosphere.
And it could be, but most of the times, as I said before, most of the times these guys have a formal foundation in one style which teaches this anyway. So they grow up in that and they just carry it towards the cage. And most of the times what you see on TV is a little bit over-dramatized in terms of personalities between the two fighters, when fighters don't tend to like each other.
You might be too young, but people remember the cage days of the professional wrestling, Abdullah the Butcher, Jovica, that kind of thing. But it was fake blood or tomato ketchup blood flowing all over the place. Is that the same kind of thing?
No. Our sport is real. Right? Our sport is actually real punches, real kicks. I mean, if you get hit and there's blood, it's real blood. But the respect for the fighters is there, and you will notice that even if they have a certain amount of animosity or dramatization before, usually right after the fight, they hug each other and they say, thank you very much, I mean, that was great, you know, and they're very respectful to each other.
What can we look forward to as far as the actual competition? Because it's being billed as Trinidad and Tobago against the United States next week Saturday. That would suggest that we'll be thoroughly outclassed, because if the best of the best from the States come here, because a lot of exposure and the number of events they compete in, we could be in for a lot of trouble.
Well, one of the things that I want to let everybody know is that Trinidadians, even though we may not know it very well in terms of the actual sport of MMA, we do have tremendous talent in the country, tremendous talent. We are bringing down, we're actually trying to test our talent this time. We're bringing down American top team. Now, American top team is one of the most recognizable schools in this sport, and they have young athletes that they want to bring up as well too. So they're actually looking at it as an easy ride for them to come down here and showcase their talent. There's one gentleman who has Trini roots, right? He's actually in the country already. His name is Bruce Luch. He's grown up most of his life in the States, and he trains at American top team. So I would consider him an American. If you talk to him, he has an American accent.
Well, you don't want to go to America to get American accent. Well, it's not a turn up by the embassy.
True, but
you get the accent.
True, but you know, but he does have Trini roots, and he's a fantastic fighter. But I was watching one of his Facebook posts the other day, and he was saying how, you know, he's coming out to Trinidad and he's going to wipe up these Trini bums, right? But, you know, I think that was just a bit of over-dramatization, but
well, it's all part of the thing.
Of course,
it's a build-up.
But you know what? I think that a lot of times people discredit us because we're from a small island and because we're from a third world country. But we're not. We have.
Are we well developed so that we will put up a good showing? Are we so well developed in the sport that we will not be disgraced?
One of the things that we are is that we are hungry. You know, we are determined to show people that we're we're made of good stuff as well too. You know, so we had the idea of being cocky, or the idea of saying that, you know, I am somebody, so, you know, I don't need to prove myself, is not part of it. We want to prove ourselves.
We just have a couple of minutes left, Adam Chen Leong, but let me ask the standard question I ask of all of those involved in any sort of physical contact sport. In a country riddled by crime and as violent as ours, is something like cuff and mixed martial arts encouraging violence?
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's actually encouraging good etiquette, good training, focused in terms of your goals and so on. It's getting people into martial arts. And the end result is a fight. Yes, the end result is a fight. But you also have to think of, before the fight, the years of discipline, the years of training, the years of putting focus into something that, you know,
all of that training and discipline to beat up somebody?
Keeps you structured. Keeps you structured. I mean, why would somebody look at taekwondo or karate or another martial art as different to something that is mixed martial arts, where you're actually testing yourself? It's a test, and that's basically it. In a sporting environment, in a controlled environment with a referee, and knowing that your opponent is also a noteworthy martial artist himself.
Should be a very interesting evening of competition. Let's remind everybody again that it comes up next week, Saturday, December the 7th. Gates open at 9 o'clock, so it's going to be a late night event at Gene Pier Complex. $350 ringside, $250 VIP, general admission $120. We've given you the venues where you can get those tickets that are going very quickly. And you can also go on the website www.cuffmma, that's CUFFMMA.com for all the links to get tickets and information, and indeed for those fans of the sport, the 6th edition is something that they'll be looking forward to. So will Mr. Luch be forced to eat his words? Will the Trini be brought back down to earth in the land of his birth? Well, we'll find out. Will they knock the US accent out of him? We'll find out as well. Come Saturday. I'm trying to build up the thing as well, you know, maybe being part of the exercise. No, and I won't be part of the exercise. Don't worry about that. We have to go to a break. Good to have you on the
Pleasure.
program once
Thank
again.
you very much.
And it should make for a very interesting event. Mixed martial arts certainly growing in popularity in Trinidad and Tobago, as it is in many other parts of the world. We'll be back after this.